Hey, hey, hey. I hope all is well. Let me get us in here. Just a second. I meant to drop this link in our group. My bad. Just a second. I hope all is well, y'all, and I hope that your week is started off well. Hopefully. I know we got a lot going on, but I hope that you guys are managing and navigating okay. Let me make sure I drop this link in here. People are looking for it. Okay. There we are. Okay, guys. Sorry, I should have did that before I got jumped on. But hey, mistakes happen. Okay, we're here. Hey, y'all. Okay, so today, let me adjust my life here. So today we're talking about releasing workplace stress. So thank you to everyone that voted on the, actually in the group as well as on the YouTube. So thank you all who voted. It was pretty split when it came to the two different topics. One was the releasing workplace stress, and then the other one was building mindful routines, I think was the second one. So since everything was split, and I think it was about 13 people voted for one and then 14 people voted for the other, I'll do releasing workplace stress today, and then we'll do building new routines or mindful routines. We'll do that next week. So just to give you guys an update on that. But today is all about releasing workplace stress. I know y'all probably went through it today. So I'm glad we're going to sit and kind of talk through how we can do that. I have four steps rather, I would say, on how we can release workplace stress. So I hope this is helpful. This is definitely a very interactive live, so feel free to talk back to me if you got questions, you need me to repeat anything or go back through anything. If you're wondering why I keep looking away from my screen, it's because I got notes, y'all. I prepare for these lives, okay? So I come with all the guns, okay? So we're going to talk about releasing workplace stress and letting go of tension we often carry when it comes to work, okay? It's also about creating space for calm and clarity to return. Let's be real, y'all. We spend most of our day at work. Okay, if we have 24 hours in the day, half of that most of the time is spent at work, commuting to work, coming home from work, thinking about work. Okay, so it consumes our lives. So understanding how we can release the stress that's associated with it is going to make a huge impact to how we navigate life in general. So this is why it's important. So this is your reminder that peace is always available, is as available as you see it to be available, okay? And we're going to find some ways to tap into that peace on a daily basis, okay? So again, feel free to talk back to me. If you're watching, if this is your first time, please let me know where you're watching from. I want to hear that. If this is your first time, my name is Debbie. I'm a certified meditation coach. On this channel, we explore wellness through several different lenses. So like meditations, of course, as well as practical coping skills to help make everyday life more present, more meaningful. So if you haven't already, and again, if this is your first time, why haven't you subscribed yet? This is for you, okay? go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and tell me where you're watching from. And then also make sure to turn on those notifications, all of that jazz, okay? Everything DZ, first time, awesome. Welcome in from Detroit. Hi, John Stevens, welcome in. Hey, Moni, thank you for coming in. I am okay. I'm all right. I'm good. So yeah, so let's jump in, y'all. So how do we release workplace stress? 4 different ways. I was about to say 3. 4 different ways that I have for you. And then also affirmations at the end. So there's about 6, I think there's 6 affirmations. Yeah. So there are 6 affirmations that I'll give to you at the end. And then I think I also kind of sprinkled in some journaling questions or some journaling prompts that you can take away too. So feel free to ask any additional questions or anything that you need from me, y'all. Okay. So number 1, be honest and understand the source of your stress, okay? Because we can say all day that work is stressful, and I'm pretty sure it is, right? But there are some very specific reasons as to why. Some people just don't like their job. Some people like their job but don't like their manager, or there just may be communication and conflict with people in their job. There may be leadership and culture issues that you just don't agree with, or just kind of it goes against, morals, or may go against to the way that you would approach the work, right? You may struggle with work satisfaction, how things are managed, deadlines, unclear priorities, right? It also could just be your view of yourself, right? How you see yourself in the role, any internal pressures that you may be feeling or experiencing, perfectionism, imposter syndrome, even emotional and mental feelings. So feeling stuck, unfulfilled, undervalued, or having a lack of purpose. There could be so many reasons as to why. Hi, Liz, welcome in. There could be so many reasons why you are feeling stressed at work. So this is a time to really sit and really think about how you show up for work, how you show up into your job and your job function, and why there is so much stress. Okay. Thank you, Liz. I appreciate you. I really do. Okay. And so when it comes to thinking about that, right? And being honest with yourself, right? Sometimes we may say, oh, it's this, or it's because of this person, or it's because of that. It could really just be that you're unfulfilled. It could really just be that you are not, excited about that job. It could really just be you're not excited about the work. You're not excited about the people that you work with. You're not excited about, there's so many different nuances. So this is a matter of sitting down and being honest with yourself and understanding the source of your stress. You could just have a stressful job, right? Some people are working in emergency rooms, or they're 911 app operators, or they're nurses, or they're doctors, or they're firefighters, or they're police officers. Some people just have very stressful jobs. So it can just be just that, or it could be something else. So be honest with yourself and how you're feeling and why you're feeling that way. And that can only take you to 1 or 2 different ways, right? Either you're staying at your job and you're progressing, you're trying to find a way to grow, or you end up leaving and you find something else, or you find a new industry or a new career, right? So just take the time to be honest with you and understand the reason why, okay? So when it comes to your journaling question, there's a few journaling questions that I have here that you can take away to kind of get your brain flowing on the why. Which part of my workday drains me the most, and what about it feels stressful? Okay, I'll say that again. Which part of my workday drains me the most, and what about it feels stressful? The other would be, when I think about work, what specific situations do I brace myself for? When I think about work, what specific situations do I brace myself for? Because if it's not the job, or if it's not the people that you're working with, but you're still finding yourself stressed, maybe it's a part of the job, or a piece of the job, or just something that you just don't, a part of it that you just don't like doing, right? So pinpoint Pick it out. Understand what it is specifically so you can deal with it and manage it. Okay. Number 2, differentiate what you can and cannot control. Okay. Differentiate what you can and cannot control. I'll say that one more time. Differentiate what you can and cannot control. All right. So notice what you can and cannot control. Okay. Separate facts, truths, and feelings. Okay. I'm going to break that down in a second. But notice what you can and cannot control. And then separate facts, truths, and feelings. Okay. So what is a fact? A fact is objective. Is the actual events that has happened, the actual situation, line by line, right? Truths. Your truths are how you interpret the facts, okay? So your facts are your objective, and your truths are how you interpret the fact. And then your feelings are your internal response to both, okay? So you have your facts, objective, your truths are your interpretation, your feelings are the internal response to both of those things. Many times when it comes to work or just in general, when managing life, we respond to the feelings and we act on the feelings versus the facts and the truths, okay? So it's about separating yourself from the feeling and concentrating solely on the truth and the facts. Okay, so for example, a fact would be the report deadline was moved up by 2 days. Okay, so that's the fact. That's actually what happened. An example of the truth would be I'm unprepared because the timeline is shorter than I expected, right? So the deadline was moved up. Your truth or your understanding is in how you're seeing it is I'm unprepared, right? Because the time is shorter than I expected. Then the feeling is I feel anxious, frustrated, and overwhelmed because now I'm unprepared. Okay? So when it comes to this particular situation, it's about moving aside the feeling of anxious, frustrated, and overwhelmed to deal with the fact and the truth. And then you can deal with the feeling, okay? Because sometimes, let's be real, when we're at work, we gotta get our work done. We gotta get stuff done. So separating facts, truth, and feelings can be helpful in understanding not just what's happening or what's wrong, but being able to start bringing things into perspective and making choices and decisions at work, and then using the end of our day to decompress and release what happened throughout the day, okay? Also to prevent things in the future, right? So now that we know that the fact of the report and deadline being moved up, and then the truth of it, I now feel prepared. Now, next time we can think about ways that we can be proactive. So that way we're not caught off guard. Because now we know that there's a possibility that, deadlines can be moved up. Okay? So understanding fact, truth, feelings is a big helpful tool. And again, this isn't just for work. This is just for life in general, because we're not going to be able to control everything. Okay. And then the last part in differentiating what we can and cannot control. And I kind of alluded to this, but focus on what you can control and then determine if what you can't control is sustainable. Okay. I'll say that one more time. Focus on what you can control and determine if what you can't control is sustainable, okay? When thinking about work, there are going to be a lot of aspects that you're not going to be able to control. That's a part of working in in a big corporation or working on a big team or working just in a company in general. They're going to have their rules, they're going to have their regulations and things of that matter, right? So when it comes to separating the two or differentiating from the two, understanding what you can control and make those actions and make those changes, but also thinking about the parts that you can't control and if you can actually continue to maintain and sustain that. Now, I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow. I ain't say that. I don't need nobody coming back to me saying, Debbie said I need to quit my job. I ain't say that, okay? What I'm saying is understanding that about yourself and your capabilities in your work and in your job. And then from there, making a decision on whether it's something that a job that you want to stay at. And if not, what's your exit plan, right? Making an exit plan. It's not just up and quitting, right? Make an exit plan, okay? All right. That was number 2. Number 3. So bring things into perspective, okay? So we already went through noticing and being honest with ourselves as a source of our stress when it comes to work. We've already differentiated the difference of what we can and what we cannot control when it comes to our jobs. Now let's bring everything into perspective. Remember the big picture. Is this job that you're working a career, or is it just a job? What is its purpose, right? What is its purpose for right now? Okay, is this a right now job where you're working it until you find the next thing? Is it a stepping stone job where you have to start at entry level in order for you to get where you want to go, right? Or you got to get your feet in the door, or you got to get in and network and meet the right people to go the direction that you want to go? Or are you in your career? Is this something that you want to sustain and make a full career out of? Okay. So keeping the big picture in mind actually can help with relieving some stress, especially for people who are working jobs that are stepping stones, or are working jobs that may not be what you want to do, but they may fund your passion, or they may fund the things that you want to do. So remembering the big picture is just bringing yourself back to, why am I here? What is the purpose? Hey, I know I want to be, this is just an example. Hey, I know I want to be a comedian, but I know that I'm not going to be able to sustain life just by being a comedian right now. So I'm going to work this job until, something pops off. Or, hey, I am, just working an internship right now. It's not necessarily paying me a lot of money, but I'm working this internship right now because it's going to give me the network. It's going to give me the connections and the people that I need to know in order for me to get that first entry level job, right? So bringing things back to why you're there can help bring things into perspective that you sometimes forget, because sometimes we work these jobs and we go every day and we like, I hate it. I don't like it. I don't want to be here. Just get me out of here. With all of these things that we may think of. And sometimes it goes back to just thinking of the bigger picture. Give yourself a timeline. Give yourself a goal of when you're trying to move into the next space. Because having a goal, or having this job be a purpose instead of it being what we used to call a dead end job where we're just working something, giving yourself a goal or a deadline or some form of aspiration to go for will help with navigating the stress of, I hate this job, right? So remembering the big picture. Also, shift the focus from failure to insight. This goes back to if you're working a job that you're not excited about, right? And then maybe working a job that you feel is beneath where you were, or working a job that's kind of a step back, right? Shifting the focus from failure to insight. What can this teach me, right? What can I learn? What can I add to my resume? That's one of the things that I used to work a job. I won't say what kind of job it was, but I used to work a job that I just dreaded every day, all day. And I'll tell you this, it was more call center work. So call center work is just difficult for me. I cannot, I did it for maybe 2.5 years maybe. And it was just tough for me. It was just too much, too managing. It was just a lot for me. And so one of the things that I had to just bring to perspective while I was trying to get my exit plan, right, was Even though I'm here every day, let me make every day count. What is it that I can learn today? What is it that I can add to my resume? What connection can I make that can help me down the line? What new skills can I volunteer for or ask to do that will be beneficial for me to use for the job that I do want? Who can I use as a reference? Who can, like really thinking outside of the box, so that way, even though you're going to work this job that you don't like for another 5 months or 6 months or maybe even another year, depends on what your goals are. um, Thinking on that and that route and making every day count can help with releasing the stress of work, because sometimes the stress of work is us dreading going in every day and not having or seeing a purpose, or outside of just making money, for going to work every day. So finding ways to um, have a benefit for yourself, whether it be outside of money, because yes, we sometimes we feel like slaves to the job and we feel like we have to go because we need to make money, we need to pay our bills. Outside of that, what is something that you can learn? What is something that you can what is a person that you can connect with? What can you do in the job that can add more to your resume? That's something that you can use in interviews. Just thinking about what you can get from it, because at the end of the day, the job is going to get from you what they need from you. So you need to get from the job what you can get from the job. And even if that's just an extra bullet point on your resume, that's something. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. Where was I at? Oh yeah, that was shift the focus from failure to insight. And then when thinking about this job or this career, is this an indicator for more career planning, right? Or goal setting? Is it a new role? Is it a new company? And it doesn't have to be a new role in a new company. It could be a new role at the same company, right? But is it a new role? Is it a new team? Is it a new manager that you may need? Is it a new company? Is it a new industry? Is it a new job? There's plenty of times where I've asked to be switched teams because I'm like, okay, I don't think I really fit with this team based off of what they're working on or the type of work they're working on, or even with the manager. You find a nice way to say it, but there's times where I've done that too, where I've ended up switching teams and it ended up working out for me. So thinking about career planning, goal setting, the team that you're working on, what changes that you can make, those are all adjustments that you can make on your own, okay? And make sure I'm not missing anything here. That was bring things into perspective. So lastly, there are a few journal prompts that you can take away for bringing things into perspective. So the first question would be, will this matter a week, a month, or a year from now? So this is situational. Sometimes we get overwhelmed and stressed by one situation that we feel has more impact on our work than it does. So bringing it into perspective, will this matter a week or a month or a year from now? Okay. Is this situation as urgent as it feels, or am I reacting to the pressure? Okay. What part of this is truly mine to manage? Okay. Because sometimes when we're at work, we take on the work of others, which causes and creates more stress. All right. So this was for bringing it into perspective. Will this matter a week, a month, or a year from now? Is this situation as urgent as it feels, or am I reacting to pressure? And then what part of this is truly mine to manage? Okay. So that was number 3, bring things into perspective. Number 4, and this is the last one before we go into affirmations. Separate yourself from the work. Okay? Separate yourself from the work. A lot of times when we're thinking about our day-to-day, all we do is we get up, we shower, brush our teeth, eat, go to work, come home, eat dinner, watch a show or two, and go to sleep. And we do that over and over and over again. Rinse and repeat, okay? And because of that, many times our work becomes most of our identity, right? It's how we picture ourselves. I am, this senior such and such, or I am, working in this industry. And because we spend so much time at work, and that's literally all we do, it becomes a part of our identity. And then therefore, we get so engulfed in our emotions and feelings when it comes to our job, because now our job is linked to who we are as a person versus what we do. Okay. So, finding ways to separate yourself from the job, from the work, from the title, from the position is critical in releasing any type of workplace stress. Because if you have, I don't want to say it mean, but if you have a life outside of work, this probably comes off mean, but if you have a life outside of work, the less engulfed you will be when it comes to the stress of the work on a day-to-day basis. So find things to do outside of work. Really think about how you spend your time. Is all of your time just involved with the job? And I'll be honest, there are some jobs where that's more difficult than others, right? There are some jobs where you may be working 12-hour shifts, or you may be, at a high, like I said, a high stress job. You may be a police officer or a nurse or a counselor or someone that has to work with a lot of people and interactions, which can be draining, compassion fatigue, all of that. So I get that part of it. But the more that you're able to find things outside of work, the easier it will be for you to transition out of the thought place or the thinking space of work, right? So find things to do outside of work, whether it be creating like a post-work self-care routine, right? Be intentional. So when I leave work, what happens, right? And based off of what happens, how can I integrate self-care? How can I integrate new skills? How can I integrate fun, right? How can I find ways to bring out other pieces of myself as I'm leaving work, and then as I'm getting home and I'm just kind of adjusting, because sometimes people are coming home, they got kids, you gotta cook, you gotta do like work just changes from your job that you're actually getting paid for to a job that you created with the babies, okay? So it can create this thought pattern of I'm this for 8 hours, and then I'm this for another 6 hours, and then I go to sleep. So finding ways to create a post-work self-care routine, finding ways to integrate your hobbies into your schedule, any new skills, any new passions, or even if it's just career planning and kind of thinking about ways that you can build in or find more time to have self-care. But self-care is important, y'all. And I think that we feel like self-care is an option, and it's definitely not. And self-care isn't like a massage. It's not a just, oh, I want to go get my nails done, or I'm gonna go get my hair done. It's not just those things. It's also finding ways throughout the day that you can create a better experience for yourself, right? So I used to dread coming home from work, right? Because it was a long drive. It was sometimes a 2-hour drive to get home from work. And so I would dread that every day, which would make me dread work. I would just like, okay, I gotta go into work, I gotta drive into work, and then it would be like an hour and maybe 15 minutes to get to work, but getting home was just dreadful. So I would find ways to stay in. I'm in Chicago, but live outside of Chicago. So I would find ways to stay in the city. So then that way, by the time I got in the car and drove home, the drive was maybe an hour instead of it being 2 hours. So like finding ways to integrate some fun or just something relaxing. So what I would do is I would like get off from work, and then I would walk down and I'll grab me something to eat. I'll walk the city a little bit. I may go for a walk over to the park, and then I would stay there for maybe like 30-40 minutes. Sometimes I would like jump on one of the trains and then go over to the beach, and I'll walk the beach. And then by the time I would be done, I'll come back to my car and then jump in, and then my car ride is 35 minutes. I'm still getting home at the same time. But I still took the time to find something to do that was a little bit more relaxing. So that way I'm not sitting in traffic all day. Right. So that is just, something that I did that I found that was easy and helpful for me. Okay. Um, okay. I don't know. Honestly, I think this might be one of those, is it a scam? It might be. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to make sure that I honed in on, right? At the end of the day, you want to make sure at the end of your workday, rather, you want to make sure that you find ways to do some type of self-care, some type of routine that you can give to yourself. And it doesn't have to be drastic. It doesn't even have to be as drastic as I said. It could be just as simple as when you get home, you give yourself 15 minutes before you start jumping into, cooking, or you give yourself, some time in the car. You sit in the car and listen to a song, before you walk to your favorite song before you walk into the house, right? You come home and put your favorite slippers on and your robe, and then you start to cook. Like whatever it looks for you, as long as it's restorative, right? Your self-care routine just has to be restoration. What restores you? What makes you happy? What can shift your mood? Okay. I love that you found balance and not take work home with you. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I think it's even more difficult for people who work from home, because it was a bigger transition where I had to be more intentional about self-care when I worked from home, because I now don't work on my couch, because it creates a sense of I'm just chilling at home and just typing on my laptop and doing something, on my laptop, versus me actually working. So I had to make sure that I had a separate workspace, and made sure I had a desk, and made sure that I had a whole little setup, because I need to be able to turn that light off. And when that light's off, work is done. So finding ways to shut off work for yourself, so that way you don't touch anything that has to do with work after work is over. Making sure you're not having your email on your personal phone. Making sure to, like I said, close your laptop, turn off the lights, put your laptop away, throw it in a drawer or whatever. So that way, once that happens, work is done. Okay. Sometimes turning off autopilot is challenging. Yep. But I mean, it starts off with noticing that you're in autopilot, right? So what you can do is say, okay, I'm on my way home. I just got home. I understand that I'm on autopilot. How can I get myself out of it, right? I can go ahead and turn on some music, or I can go ahead and make my favorite meal. Or, one of the things too that I like to do is I like to cook without anything on. And sometimes that gets me, because the silence is like, okay, why is it quiet? And then now I know, I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me go ahead and cook. Let me go do this. Let me do that. And then maybe I'll turn music on or whatever. But having a way to remind yourself that, hey, snap out of it. We got to be intentional about it. Hey, Latrice girl. My time is usually on the train ride home. Yes, reading a book, listening to audiobooks, listening to music, writing poetry, writing in your journal, doing gratitude notes, all of that. Absolutely. But I get it. And that's very crucial. I work from home, but I leave as soon as work is over and yeah, absolutely. Love that. I like to take walks before I start work. So I'll go out in the morning and I'll go take a walk, and then come back in, and then I'll jump in the shower, and then I'll start work. And that's kind of just a way for me to okay, I got out, I did something with myself, I may grab a coffee, and then come back. And then it's like, okay, I'm now, and then getting dressed for work is another thing if you work from home. I used to be that person where I get up, I brush my teeth, wash my face, and log in. And then when you're done, then you're went through a whole day, and you're like, oh man, now I gotta go shower, now I gotta go da 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 da. I'm like, no, getting up earlier for work, getting out, doing your workout, taking a shower, putting clothes on, even doing your hair, all of that stuff, because by the time you're done, then you can decompress. Sometimes when you're not, when you're working at home, there is no decompress because you're at home, right? So just finding, based off of the way that you work in your current structure, and finding ways to weave things in, so that way it just makes it more not autopilot, right? Like was it Love Trotter that said autopilot? Yeah. So you just, that's really what that comes down to. So think about your routine, think about your job, think about the hardest parts of your job and the areas of your job, and finding ways to make those easier, but also ensuring you have a decompressed self-care after work routine, whatever that looks like, or before work routine. Just kind of depends on if you're a morning person or if you're an evening person. It just kind of depends. I'm actually not a morning person, but kind of turning into a morning person. I don't know if it's just me getting older. I don't know, but but that's where I'm at right now when it comes to the mornings. I actually have been getting up a little bit more in the mornings. Okay, that was all 4 parts before we go into affirmations. So just to kind of start from the top, the way that we're releasing workplace stress is 1, being honest and understand the source of our stress. 2, differentiate what you can and cannot control. Number 3, bring things into perspective. And number 4, separate yourself from the work. Okay. Oh, hey, Letitia. Awesome. Awesome. For the morning person. Yes. Thank you so much for joining in. Okay, so we're going to end with affirmations, y'all. There we go here. So I have 6 affirmations. Feel free to use the affirmations however you wish to. If you want to write them down, please do. If you want to change the language, please do. If you want to write them out on sticky notes or record yourself saying them, please do that. But most of all, just like I mentioned, if you want to change the language, don't hesitate to do that. These are just a framework. And a lot of times people struggle with affirmations because they don't sound true to them. So they say they don't work, and it's mainly because you can change the wording. You can change it so that way the language sounds right to you. Or if it doesn't sound quite true, you can change the way the language says it, so that way it rings more true to you. So keep that in mind when thinking about affirmations. Yes. All of the playbacks are saved as well. But yeah, I go live every Monday at 8 p.m. And we just talk about different topics. And it's actually the topics are voted on. So usually I'll post the poll, and then everyone will vote, and then from there we'll make a decision on what we were talking about. So this week, this poll had 2 top ones. So we had the poll from Facebook, and then we had the poll from YouTube. And so there were about 14 votes for this topic, and then about 14 votes for the other topic. So the next topic will be next Monday, which is building mindful routines, which is a great follow-up actually to this one too. Okay, so affirmations. Number 1. Stress is a signal to pause, not to push. Stress is a signal to pause, not to push. Stress is a signal to pause, not to push. Okay? Sometimes we see stress as a signal to work harder and not to take a step back. Okay? So this is just a reminder that sometimes when you're feeling that stress, now granted, sometimes people rely on stress to keep them motivated. I get it. They're like, oh, I wait till the last minute because then that stress gets me going, and then I'll get stuff done. Procrastinators. I get it. I understand. But for the most part, when you're feeling stress or continued stress, especially when you're on autopilot, right? When you're feeling that, that's definitely an indicator to pause, not to push. Okay. It's an indicator to take care of self and check in with self. Okay, that was number one. Stress is a signal to pause, not to push. Number two, my body deserves rest, and I honor that need without guilt. My body deserves rest, and I honor that need without guilt. My body deserves rest, and I honor that need without guilt. Okay? So, just like I say this all the time, rest is not a reward. Okay? It's a requirement, and our body deserves to have the rest that it needs. I know a lot of times we get mom guilt. A lot of times we just get guilt just based off of the fact that we feel like when we're resting and when we're sleeping that we're not productive. But rest is just as productive as what we call productivity. And sometimes our productivity isn't as productive as we think it is because of the fact that we're tired. Okay. So my body deserves rest, and I honor that need without guilt. It's just a reminder that you deserve to get your rest, not just your sleep, but your rest, right? Your idle, being able to just sit and relax, decompress, make sense of the day, make sense of all the things that are happening, because, and then also too, taking time away from social media, taking time away from, unless you're watching me, taking time away from all of those things, right? Because we're taking in so much information on a day-to-day basis. Okay, thank you, Samantha. I'm glad that you're getting this. We're taking in all of this information on a day-to-day basis, and sometimes our minds are just exhausted, because if you think about it, you're working 8 hours a day. In between that 8 hours a day, you might scroll here and there, but if you're not scrolling, when you're getting home, you're scrolling, and you're scrolling for the rest of the day, and you're just taking in information, and that could just be overwhelming for the nervous system. And then we wonder why we're stressed. All right. So your body deserves rest. Your mind deserves rest. Getting out in nature, like we talked about before. Just turning everything off. There's some times where I just turn the TV off. I turn the music off. I hide my phone from myself, and I just meander for a couple 15-20 minutes, right? Whether it be I sit and I stretch, or I may sing, or sometimes I used to dance. I do like my flags. There's so many different things that you can do that doesn't have to deal with technology and doesn't have to deal with your day-to-day work. Okay. Oh, hi, Liz. Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, so what was that? That was number 2. That was my body deserves rest, and I honor that need without guilt. Number 3, I choose to slow down and reconnect with my natural rhythm. I choose to slow down and I reconnect with my natural rhythm. I choose to slow down and reconnect with my natural rhythm. Okay. So understanding that slowing down is a choice, right? Taking the time to slow down is intentional, and reconnecting with your natural rhythm is basically regulating your nervous system. When you're stressed, your nervous system is stressed, right? I know we talk about this a lot, but you have your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system. Your sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight, right? When you are stressed, when you are overwhelmed, when you are scared, when you're frightened, when you are surprised, like all of these things that happen, it activates that nervous system. Your parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and digest. So when you have your sympathetic nervous system and it goes haywire, your parasympathetic nervous system comes and say, hey girl, we good, we straight, let's calm down. So when you're stressed all the time, that means your sympathetic nervous system is always in the forefront, right? Your parasympathetic nervous system is back here like, hey, I don't know what I need to do, but something need to happen because we is overwhelmed. And so it's just a matter of finding ways to get it back to where parasympathetic nervous system is in the forefront, okay? So that's your natural rhythm, okay? So understanding that you slowing down and reconnecting is how you're able to get back to your body's natural rhythm. Okay. So that was number 3. I choose to slow down and reconnect with my natural rhythm. Okay. Thank you, Liz. I appreciate you. Okay, so that was number 3. Number 4, I take time to reset, recharge, and renew daily. I take time to reset, recharge, and renew daily. I'll say that one more time. I take time to reset, recharge, and renew daily. So many times when we're thinking about resetting, recharging, and renewing, it's usually when we're already at capacity. It's usually when we're already overwhelmed, when we're already stressed, when we're already at our fullest capacity and we're about to break, right? Taking the time to reset, recharge, and renew daily prevents you getting to that point. Okay. Reset, recharge, renew doesn't have to be a big thing, right? Doesn't have to be anything that's an overwhelming, oh, I'm going to go get me a massage every day, or I'm going to go over here and get my nails done, or I'm going to go over here and do this, I'm going to do that. Hey, Miss Robin, welcome in. Hey, I'm going to do all of these things. It's just a matter of bringing your nervous system back to its natural rhythm, like I mentioned before. So that's your breath work. Your breath work typically is going to get your nervous system back. Hello, is it Swooky Cookie? Welcome in, welcome in. So breath work, meditation, prayer, journaling, just having the sense of connection with someone, having a conversation, whether it be music, like I said, dancing, or doing a hobby or a skill. Those are all things that kind of get you back. I love learning new things. That's just exciting to me. Like learning weird facts. If you want to know weird facts, ask Debbie, because I'll pull out something. Okay. So just getting a good idea of what excites you, what you like, what you love, and finding ways to integrate that throughout your day is how you can rest, recharge, or renew daily. Okay. Yeah, definitely tell your friends to join. Usually people watch the replay too. Thank you, Swooky. Thank you. I appreciate that. Awesome. Okay, so that was, what was that? That was number 4. Yeah, that was number 4. Number 5, we got 2 more, y'all. Number 5, I release what I can't fix at work and draw in on my strength and presence. I release what I can't fix at work and draw in on my strength and presence. I release what I can't fix at work and draw in on my strength and presence. I think I have on my, so that's why I'm like stopping, y'all. Okay, so this kind of goes back to when I was talking about separating what you can and cannot control, right? And sometimes we spend a lot of time on ruminating or fixating on what we can't control when it comes to our jobs, and that creates the stress. That creates the overwhelming feelings that we have on a day-to-day basis about our jobs. So even when I go back to thinking about separating yourself from work, because a lot of times we think of our jobs as our identity. We think of that title or that industry as our identity. And because of that, we are unable to separate what we can and cannot do, or what we can and cannot fix, right? Are you talking about feelings? Yes, in a way. I would say feelings is the top thing, right? Because we have certain feelings and emotions about what is happening, but also thinking about whether it be like regulations or policies or things that we just can't change at work that keeps us ruminating about it, right? All we can do is what we can do. And sometimes we get ourselves so frustrated and so angry about and even complain, or like I said, ruminate, or just talk about over and over and over again the things that we can't change. And spending and focusing on our time on that is not helpful for your stress, right? And then also too, because we get home, we complain about our jobs, we complain about this person, we complain about that person, right? We complain about the regulations. Now, granted, is there some form of that where you got to get it out, right? Absolutely. But then there's a point where it turns into where it's consuming you to the point where you're unable to even operate at home because you're so consumed with the things that you can't change at work. So it's about releasing the things that you can't change and just embracing the beautiful aspects of you at work, or your job, or your strengths, or your presence. I know I talked about earlier too. Hey, this may be a evaluation of whether I'm supposed to still be here, whether this is the industry I'm supposed to be in, or whether it's a new role or a new company. But when it comes to relaxation and decompressing at the end of the day, not allowing those thoughts to overwhelm you to where now your whole night is overwhelmed. You're going to bed and you're thinking about things you can't change at work. So yes, it's feelings and emotions, but it's also the thought process of what you're trying to accomplish at work, and knowing that some of the stuff you're just not going to be able to change. I'll give you an example. There is I'm trying to give an example without giving away the company name. I'll give you an example. When I used to work in recruiting, there are some situations where candidates didn't get a position, and I felt like they should have got the position, right? So me coming home, I could spend my night complaining about the fact that I feel like this candidate should get the position, knowing it's not necessarily something I'm going to be able to change. It's the hiring manager's decision. I, advocated for the candidate as much as I could. They made a decision that they made. I can't go take that home with me and ruminate on it and think about it and over, have that instant replay of things over and over and over again. What I can do is decompress. So if I put more energy into me decompressing versus me just ruminating on something that I can't fix, that's the difference. That's the change. So it's not always about your feelings. It's just a matter of those specific things that you can't change, that you just keep replaying in your mind. Oh, awesome. I'm glad that it's helpful. Okay, great. That was number 5. So the last one, number 6. I can't talk, y'all. Number 6. Work ends here. My personal peace finishes out my day. Work ends here. My personal peace finishes out my day. Work ends here. My personal peace finishes out my day. Okay? So this goes back to ending your day, not allowing your work day to bleed into your personal day, right? Some people say, when I'm done at 5, my hours are from 9 to 5. That's it, right? At 5 o'clock, I'm clocking out. That's it. That's what I mean, right? Making sure that the time between work and home are not blended, that you separate the two. Like I said, when you're working from home, it may be harder to do that than it is when you work at a specific location. Because when you leave that location, that's it. Now, if you have emails or you bring your laptop home or whatever, maybe there's things that you can put on your laptop so that way you're not getting notifications, or you're not getting the notifications on your phone after a certain time. I know for one job, I took Slack off my personal phone. No, y'all not gonna be slacking me every 5 seconds, okay? So being very intentional about how you end your day, and saying this affirmation to yourself at the end of the day is helpful. Having it, in a certain spot, so that way when you see it in that spot, you're like, okay, it's the end of the day. Another thing that you can do outside of an affirmation is, like I was saying earlier, having kind of like a small ritual that tells your body and tells your mind and tells your brain that the day is over. Closing your laptop, turning the light off, putting your keyboard away, right? Putting your headphones away. If you have a desk and maybe, flipping something upside down, putting your mouse away, right? some small indicator that tells your brain, oh, work is done. I'm not going back over there. I'm not touching nothing. Okay. Some people like to do like something physical. So maybe one thing I used to do, I forget what job this was, after I got home, I would tell my kids were a little bit younger then. So I would tell them, like, hey, when mommy comes home, give mommy like 15 minutes before you ask her any questions. So I come in, I'll say hi, we'll give kisses and hugs, but mommy needs about 15 minutes. And they would honor that. I want to say they were maybe 8. Carson was maybe 8 and my son was maybe a little bit older. So he was like 10. So they were at that age where they got in from school, they can sit down, get their homework done, get their little snacks. Like they were pretty self-sufficient at that point. So when I got home, listen, give mommy 15 minutes. And what Debbie would do, Debbie would go in the bathroom. I would literally turn off the lights in the bathroom and just decompress. Like this is just me just kind of switching from being workplace Debbie to being mommy Debbie, because now it's time for dinner, now it's time for homework, now it's time for all of these things. So finding ways to indicate to your brain that work is over and that now we're shifting or transitioning into the next stage of the day is a great way, because now a lot of times when you're blending things, especially when you're working outside of the home, you're coming home, you're throwing your stuff on the couch, then you're running to do this, you're running to do that, running to do that. Give yourself 5 minutes, give yourself 10 minutes, give yourself 15 minutes just to decompress. Okay. So that was all. When it comes to our affirmations, I'll start back at the top. Number 1 was stress is a signal to pause, not to push. My body deserves rest, and I honor that need without guilt. 3, I choose to slow down and reconnect with my natural rhythm. 4, I take time to reset, recharge, and renew daily. 5, I release what I can't fix at work and draw in on my strength and presence. And then 6 was work ends here. My personal peace finishes out my day. So I hope this is helpful. Oh, no, you're fine. The live goes for about an hour, anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour, but I do save it. So you can always come back and watch the playback, which is what most people do, is come back and watch the playback. But that's it, y'all. I hope that was helpful. Again, this live is every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Next week, we'll be talking about building routines. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, you most likely will get a meditation this week. You will get a meditation this week. So look out for that. I would say either Wednesday or Thursday. And if you haven't already, go ahead and sign up for our newsletter on our website at haveninspired.com. So that way we can get updates about lives, about new meditations, and about events and things that will be coming up. And yes, I am, most of you know, I am now a practicing intern in counseling. So if you are looking for counseling, feel free to reach out to me. The link will be in the description. You just have to be in Illinois as far as the state. And yes, that's it, y'all. Y'all all have a great rest of your night. I hope this was helpful. And again, any questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you all next Monday. Bye.